Welcome to Minding My Money Mondays, a common sense talk about money matters. I'm your host, Jared Rogers, back for another episode. So in our last episode, we talked about the factors that determine your credit score. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what everybody covets, that 800 plus credit score. And I'm going to even tell you the specific steps that I took to get my credit score above 800. So let's get started, shall we? From the last episode, we learned that credit scores focus on 5 key predictive categories based on what is contained in your credit history, also known as your credit report. These include your payment history, which makes up a whopping 35% of your score. How much you owe as a percentage of your credit limit or utilization accounts for 30% of your score. How long you've had credit makes up another 15% of your score. If you've recently sought new credit, also known as credit inquiries or hits, make up 10% of your score. And lastly, the types of credit used, or your credit mix, makes up the final 10% of your score. Now, if you remember from the last episode, I actually shared some screenshots of what my credit score was from those scoring services attached to my credit cards. Now I'd like to show you one of the services that I use to actually monitor my credit scores and what it says. So here we can see the account dashboard for the service that I use called Privacy Guard. Privacy Guard is a credit monitoring service that allows me to see my credit score, what is impacting it, as well as pull my own credit report whenever I want to. Now, Privacy Guard has been around for years, and it's a service I actually have to pay for. But there are other services such as Credit Karma that allow you to pull your credit scores for free. The reason I continue to use Privacy Guard is because it not only allows me to see my credit report, but is not attached to any marketing or advertising offers such as other providers. So if I navigate to the credit gateway, we can see 3 bureau credit report with 3 bureau Vantage score. We can also see that I had an inquiry on my credit history on July 3rd. And that's not a surprise to me. I was applying for a loan, so I expected there to be a credit inquiry. Now, if we look at my scores, we can see that I have an 820 with Experian, an 821 with TransUnion, and an 824 with Equifax. The scores vary a little due to the models that each bureau uses. But what's important is that the scores are consistent and they're all considered within the excellent range. So anyone evaluating my credit history for a loan, renting an apartment, or purchasing something such as a cell phone would take away a consistent message that I'm a low credit risk and that I probably pay my bills on time, which is the most important thing that a lender cares about anyway, which is, will they get paid? If we scroll down to the summary section, we can see that I have between 6 and 8 active accounts, depending on the bureau, and that my last reported balance was approximately $3,000. Under collection accounts, we can see that I have no accounts in collections, and under derogatory information, we can see that nothing has been reported. Most of these items are things that look favorable to the bank and would help my score positively. So now that we've looked at my score, let's go into the story of how I got it to be this high. So I applied for my very first credit card in, I believe, my sophomore year of college. Now, when you go to college, you're gonna get hit with credit card offers left and right. But what was unique for me was that while it seemed like all my friends were getting approved for credit cards, whenever I applied, I got denied. Now, why was this? It was because I didn't have any credit history. Now, this seemed a little stupid to me, considering that none of my friends had any credit history either, but there was nothing I could do about it, so I just simply had to move on. Now, there was one bank that told me I could get a credit card, however, it would have to be secured. Now, what exactly is a secured credit card? A secured credit card is one that you send the bank who issues the card a certain amount of money. In my particular case, I believe it was $300. And what you're allowed to do is to use your credit card up to the amount that you sent the bank. So you can't really go over limit, and once you've charged up to that amount, you have no available credit. So the only way to keep a secured credit card active is to, 1, not charge up to your credit limit, and 2, make sure that you're constantly paying down any of the balances. Now, after you've proven to the bank that you can manage your credit and responsibly make your payments, then they'll lift the security portion. So after about 6 months to maybe a year, my secured credit card turned into a normal credit card. They refunded me my original $300 and they upped my credit limit to $1,000. Once that happened, I was able to use my credit card just like everyone else does. meaning that I could charge things on it and carry it a balance from one month to the next if I chose to. Now here's the funny thing. Because my first credit card trained me to use it in a certain way, I believe that's what led to my scores being so high over time. Now what do I mean by that? You see, there's two important things about how I use my credit cards. The first is that I use it as an extension of my cash. And what I mean by that is if I don't have the money to afford something, then I don't charge it. It seems a little counterintuitive of why a person even needs credit usually, meaning to pay for something in an emergency when you don't have cash, but that's how I use my cards, like an extension of my bank account. So here's a little known fact. I never carry a balance on my credit cards. Now that doesn't mean that I don't charge anything on my credit cards. It just simply means that I don't carry a balance. So whatever I've charged during the statement period, I fully pay it off when the statement comes. So that's the first thing. And it's this point about not carrying a balance that leads me to the second important factor. Because I don't carry a balance, my utilization is always low. That means if you were to look at my credit limit and the amount that I've actually charged, that proportion is always a low number. So why are these two things critical when it comes to getting an 800 plus credit score? Well, do you remember the two most important factors that carry the most weight in determining your credit score? Well, they are your payment history and your utilization. Remember, payment history accounts for 35% of your score and utilization accounts for another 30% of your score. When you take these two things combined, they account for 65% of your score. So as we can see, I never carry a balance, which means that I'm constantly paying my card off. And it's also important to note that I always pay it on time by the statement date, so I'm never late. And the second thing is that I never charge my cards all the way up to their limit, and I don't carry a balance. So yes, there are times I do stupid things like charge $2,000 to $3,000 in a statement period, but I always pay it off no matter how painful that is sometimes. As a result, I have a low utilization rate in the eyes of the banks. Now the banks probably also hate me because I'm what they consider a deadbeat client. The type in which they make no money off of, because I never carry a balance and they never make any interest off my purchases. And because I pay on time, they never make any late fees off of me either. But that's okay. Remember, it's up to you to mind your money in your best interest, not in the best interest of the big corporations and the banks that are trying to take it out of your pockets. Now, I'm sure there are people out there who are going to say, that's it, Jared, I don't believe you. There has to be some secret formula of how you really get an 800 plus credit score. And my response is, no, there isn't. All you simply have to do is pay your bills on time and don't max out your credit limit. Doing these two things in and of themselves will drastically help you improve or maintain a good credit score. That's what I did, and I've just shown you my scores to prove that's a fact. And that's all we've got for this episode. If you have a question that you would like us to answer in a future episode, you can send it to questions@makemymoneymakesense.com. That's questions@makemymoneymakesense.com. And if you never want to miss another saving tip, simply hit subscribe below and click on the little bell icon and you'll receive notifications every time a new video is posted. Well, kids, it's been fun. It's been real. I'm Jared Rogers, and until we meet again, let's all continue to mind my money, and I will see you all next Monday. Take care.